everybody, and welcome back to the Blossom Review. How are you? Today we're talking about Netflix's The Wonderfools, an 8-episode series that came out last month. Now, this review shouldn't have any major spoilers, but we're definitely going to be talking about certain details from the story. So if you're not comfortable with that, go to Netflix, watch The Wonderfools, and then come back so we can discuss it together. Alrighty? Everybody ready? Let's do it. The Wonderfools never sets out to be a proper piece of superhero fiction, but a sort of dramedy whose characters just happen to have superpowers. It is a lighthearted, emotionally resonant, and charming journey that genuinely cares about its characters, balancing the darkness of its narrative with unabashedly cartoonish humor and incredibly warm interpersonal dynamics. The Wonderfools takes us back to 1999, when cult followers eagerly spread the word that the new millennium could only herald the apocalypse. This is the sort of fanatical environment we find ourselves in as the Wonderfools presents us to the fictional city of Haesung with its Church of Eternal Salvation and their creepy leaflets about the doomsday. Bayoon Cheni, played by a phenomenal Park Hyun-bin, doesn't even know if she'll make it until the 31st of December. Suffering from a severe congenital heart condition, Cheni is struggling to come to terms with the fact that she'll most likely die at the early age of 27. So does she care about salvation? Not really. Lady Trainwreck, as she's known around the neighborhood, doesn't even care about what her neighbors think of her. Spunky and unpredictable, Cheni just wants to live and travel and see the world beyond the confining walls of her grandmother's restaurant. Determined to go on a trip at least once before dying, Cheni comes up with a sort of a plan. She asks Song Young-hoon, played by a criminally underrated Choi Dae-hoon, who is infamous at the city hall for his strange civil complaints, and her childhood friend, the timid Gang Robin, played by a charismatic Im Sung-jae, to help her fake her own kidnapping. Her grandmother, the wealthy Kim Jong-bok, played by the great Kim Hae-suk, will surely pay the ransom money without major questions, or so Cheni believes, and then she will use that amount to finally leave Haesung. But things don't go as planned, and soon their hijinks bring into the mix Lee Yoon-jung, played by a meticulous Cha Young-woo, a reserved civil servant who has just transferred to Haesung City Hall with his own hidden agenda. When the Church of Eternal Salvation turns out to be a mere facade for a much more vicious enterprise, Cheni, Eun-jung, Kyung-hoon, and Robin realize that they are the only ones who can save Haesung from a truly apocalyptic future. The Wonderfools places heart before reason, establishing a thoroughly entertaining narrative that is pure organized chaos. If you are expecting a group of intelligent, mighty characters that bravely answer their call to adventure and save the day thanks to their sheer brilliance, well, you're not gonna find that here. The protagonists of The Wonderfools are always creating havoc despite their good intentions. Their decisions are often foolish and they always bungle their way to the desired solution, but they have very kind souls and very strong principles. This wild veneer is necessary to set the tone of the series, which is proudly and resolutely established with the kind of B-humor approach that is becoming more and more popular in Korean television. Some superb production design complements that with the right dose of 90s nostalgia, the visual effects are fairly convincing, and there you have it. The Wonderfools is bound to be fun first and foremost, and it wholeheartedly succeeds at that. The allure of the series then lies in this kind of comedy, crazy, loud and absurd, which works thanks to some remarkable and effective camera work, sharp editing, and the impeccable delivery of our main cast. While director Yu has mentioned Richard Donner's The Goonies and James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy as inspiration for the series, which you can clearly notice, there is something undeniably the Three Stooges-esque about the relationship between Cheni, Kyung-hoon, and Robin, and it's Park Hyun-bin, Choi Dae-hoon, and Im Sung-jae's impressive talent that brings it all to life with unbelievable verve. With childlike protagonists who are silly in the most lovable of ways, humor in The Wonderfools has a unique and confident identity that creates an engaging dialogue with the show's visual language and narrative. The result is a tonally cohesive story whose plot might need some time to find its rhythm, but that is given freedom to explore its events, development arcs, and themes comfortably. This is a screenplay that establishes clear rules and respects them, mixing and matching internal, interpersonal, and external conflicts to keep its narrative moving forward organically. The passing of time is a bit convenient, yes, but nothing that would hinder our sense of immersion or that feels incongruous with the world building set. The Wonderfools plays around with its storylines throughout most of its run, but cleverly guides them towards the same goal, both thematically and narratively. Superhero tales require an evil villain, and The Wonderfools isn't scared to make scientist Ha Won-do, played by Song Hyun-joo, into an awfully cruel, ruthless antagonist. While his Wunderkinder project children are offered a tad of compassion, he is meant to be unforgivable, because it is this darkness that proposes real stakes to the story, preventing it from ever becoming too tacky. Platonic, romantic, and familial relationships give the series a strong emotional tether. The bond between Kyung-hoon and his family, the friendship between Cheni and Robin, the unbreakable connection between Cheni and her grandmother, and the eventual romance between Cheni and Yoon-jung all serve to reinforce the show's heart, but also bolster this character's identity and agency. Our protagonists don't fight the Wunderkinder because they have grand goals to save the world, but because they feel responsible for their loved ones. They gain and regain their will to persevere by appreciating how much they mean to one another. So they are given a sense of purpose through their sense of belonging to a loving community. And that gets us to the themes of The Wonderfools, which are beautifully explored in between these characters' silly shenanigans. This is a story that examines the relation between fanatical devotion, gullibility, and genuine trust, as well as trauma and manipulation. But most importantly, The Wonderfools is a story about being courageous despite our fears, about refusing to let our appearances dictate our limits, and about fostering a sense of self-worth. Cheni, Kyung-hoon, and Robin are given powers that reflect their desires or needs, but that can only be used if they dare to be more than what they seem to be. Cheni yearns to be free from Hae-sung, which is why she gains the ability to teleport. But she can only do it if her heart rate spikes, something that was deemed unimaginable under her condition. Meanwhile, Kyung-hoon, who is seen as an annoying oddball when he tells the truth, gains a hyper-adhesive ability that only works when he lies. Robin, known for being timid, overly emotional, and weak, has superhuman strength that is activated when his feelings are hurt. The trick is they can only benefit from their powers if they become more self-aware. Cheni may teleport to a different place, but she is bound to return to the same spot. Similarly, she realizes that Hae-sung accepts her just the way she is, which transforms the city from a place that confines her into a place she knows she can always go back to and feel free to be whoever she wishes to be. In order to stick and unstick, Kyung-hoon needs to be sincere with himself and understand exactly what he believes in, assuredly distinguishing what is true for him and what isn't, no matter how uncomfortable that truth might be. Finally, Robin can only use his strength to protect those he loves if he transforms his hurt into power, ignoring people's offenses against him and rising above their prejudices. All of these go back to the idea of acceptance, which is something that is also explored with Eunjung's backstory. Eunjung yearns to be loved and welcomed into a community that won't judge or exploit him, which is something that he can only achieve through his relationship with Kyung-hoon, Robin, and especially Chen-yi. In the end, the greatest superpowers these characters have are their wonderfully kind hearts, their charmingly naive optimism, and their cheeky eccentricity. And that's what makes The Wonderfools such a delightful watch. Its humor might be absurd and its narrative might follow all the expected beats, but this production has such faith in the story it wants to tell that you can't help but go along with it. Blending comedy, adventure, and a good dose of fantasy, The Wonderfools offers a wholesome, captivating, and surprisingly touching journey that celebrates the lovable misfit that lives within us all. In an interview with the Korea Times, director Yoo mentioned, "If viewers finish it thinking, that was a lot of fun, I'm satisfied. After all, isn't that the greatest compliment an entertainment piece can receive?" Well, director Yoo, I hope you take this review as a compliment. The Wonderfools is definitely a lot of fun. The Wonderfools is available on Netflix. Quick reminder that this review is also available on the Blossom Review, and over on Substack this week we talked about a short film that you can actually find on YouTube called One Last Monster. I'll leave all the links in the description if you guys would like to give them a read. Guys, thank you so very much for being here. I really hope that you like this video and you subscribe so I can see you here every week for a new review. Guys, take very good care of yourself and I'll see you very, very soon. Thank you. Bye.